Good evening and welcome back to another edition of Beyond the Backstage Pass. I am your host, Vince Edwards. You may know me from Sound Image Productions. We've also got a couple closed Facebook roadie groups, one called Death
by Loadout,
and the other one is the Backstage Pass. Check us out. It's kind of fun over there. Tonight I got my wonderful, amazing co-host with me, Kyle Thomas.
How you doing, big dog?
Buddy, you know, I was doing any better to have to be two of me. It's just, we're lucky.
I know, I saw you zooming around this morning.
You know, I've
never seen you with that much energy, let me tell you.
I had coffee.
One cup of coffee I feed you, and it's just like, oh, what do you need?
I've stayed away from stimulants for a number of years now. And so when I involve myself with them, it can get a little weird. And so that might have accounted for that pachinko bounce.
We got stuff done, let me tell you.
That's right. That's what we do together. You know, that's how that works.
I love you, brother.
Yeah, baby, you know it. Anything new and fascinating and exciting? I know we got some folks in the shop.
Yeah, I think we have a group of my girlfriend, Susie Dugan, and
the lovely Susie Dugan.
Miss Hall, that was just on the show. And I think there's a couple other people over there. I'm sorry, I'm slipping their name.
I think we got Tim O'Connor rolled up. I think Travis
Strain, yeah. There's a couple people over there.
Yeah, what is the
It's all just a wireless workbench.
They're also, he's got the BAM magazine, bam.com.
Yeah. And we know a lot of pretty famous people. I still thought it was hilarious getting an email from Dan Ashley. I'm not going to lie. I was like, wait, what?
If you don't know who that is, Dan Ashley is somewhat of a local celebrity in our news world up here in the Bay Area. And he's been a monument, really a kind of institution. He's always been there as long as I can remember, one way or another, as the
head, yeah.
Talking head, tell us what's going on any given day. And a sweetheart of a guy.
It's too funny.
Yeah, and so now I understand what you mean. Yeah, and I believe he's going to come and visit us.
He is, yeah.
A little thing to celebrate some accomplishments and things that he's doing now. But that's actually
here nor there. Yeah, let's just leave it at
timing issue.
The Bammies thing is going to be killer.
Yeah, and we'll you'll hear more about it coming up in the future and ongoing things that we're going to be putting right here in this very space in our little soundstage for streaming events. Something with Lauren Monroe Allen, which is Rick Allen's wife.
Yeah, Rick Allen will be coming in with his wife. Lauren she's fabulous singer.
Yeah, and they'll be dragging a few people along with them. Melissa, Dave.
Let's leave it for a surprise.
We'll
I think it's just beautiful that lady's intention is very pure, and it's something to really be. To shine light on is like she's putting so much of her money to a good cause. Like not only was that whole thing with Rick Allen and Def Leppard selling off all of their merch and stuff, and that all went to their crew, which is like
about $150,000.
$150,000. I mean, that's enough for 12, 20 people. I don't know how many people are on their crew, but that's a substantial amount.
It was just the idea behind it. Because we do know a lot of folks that. On a certain side of the business that they can miss a little work, not do some shows, and they're going to be fine. Typically, the artists, but their crews are struggling in many ways, and right now, and some bands, some folks, Zach Wilde and some other folks we're aware of have. Found ways to reach out to their crew and kind of give them a little stipend to hold them over until we get back on our feet.
It's like, hey, we don't have a retainer for you guys, but we generated all this money. It's like, to me, that was so beautiful to hear that. It was just a nice change.
I like how they kind of stepped out of the box instead of just reaching into the band account. They said, what can we take that's already an asset of ours? Back stock of merch,
feed it back.
Drum heads and sticks, and sling those off. And it's remarkable reduced rate over the normal.
Well, so merch like so that. her efforts by let alone like being attached to Rick, because she doesn't want to have him be the image, right? That's the beautiful part is like she wants to have her own music and her own footing in this. And I thought for that to be in the forefront and such a good cause as a backing, it was like I'm really excited to work with her.
She's a particularly lovely woman, and we'll be really lucky to have her in this space celebrating that cause, her music, the project that her husband and her have come up with. I believe she kind of is she's the out front of that, and he just, back there supporting with some drums. And,
that's right.
And, they're a beautiful couple, and it's a lovely scene, and very excited to have them in. And I believe we'll be doing that here in a couple days. Totally. Building off of that and going forward.
Hey, one other thing, though.
Give it to me. What do you got?
That swag box is still pretty full, and I think we need to get a few more people's contacts to send this stuff out to. So if you guys want a bag of swag, like some shirts, maybe like a pocket reference and a coffee cup and stuff, send us your information. Either DM me or Vince, or get a hold of us one way or another, and we'll send you a box of goodies.
Send us your sizes too, so we can send you the appropriate thing.
Yeah. Socks, we got socks.
We got socks.
And we got shirts, and we got hats. We got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, goodies, swag. Old school swag, same old shit.
Swag.
So, and you're guarding that. You're also taking care of Instagram.
I am. I'm still on Instagram. I still am adding to our podcast, so we got it all set up. So you can still find us on, let's see, pretty much every platform: Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora. I think we got a new one, TuneIt, today.
Yeah,
we got accepted for
Stitcher.
There's a bunch of them.
The Giggle, I think we're on the Giggle.
Any place that you listen to a podcast, we're there. Yeah. Just look us up now.
Go find us there. You can hear what we're doing, and that's exactly what we want. That's why we do it. So hopefully one of those platforms will be available to you. And of course, we're streaming live on YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitch. So hope that's where you're seeing us on one of those platforms. Subscribe if you like us. Enough said. Listen, I'm chomping at the bit here, and the continuing effort to get the best and the brightest people with exemplary careers that kind of speak to the almost really in the case of tonight's guest.
You pulled us a nugget.
It's full nugget. It's like the history of rock and roll over the last 40 fucking years. And this is no exaggeration. You're going to find it for yourself. I could go through it and give it a big, long thing. I even wrote it up. I'm going to do this more natural. He's worked for, if you want your show to go right, if you need your crew to act right and get it done on time, doors open, bam, show, rock and roll, you hire this guy. This guy's got a track record between Journey and Van Halen and The Who and Dio. It's ridiculous. He's also known, and this makes him a little nervous and uncomfortable, as one of the nicest guys in rock and roll. And I personally can testify to that. He's the one, he's the only. It's Scotty Ross. Scotty Ross. How are you, my brother? It's so good to see you. Thank you for coming in tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
How have you been, buddy? How have you been taking care of yourself?
I've been good. I mean, we were full into with Journey.
Yes, sir.
Full into doing 3 warm-up dates. In May, we were going to take off. And not to be.
Yeah.
Shut it down.
Super sad.
Yeah.
Well, we had you booked on before, and I know you got a little cold, and you were thoughtful enough to say, hey, maybe we should rebook this so we don't share that.
Yes.
But we missed you that night. What are the secrets? What have you been doing? You've always had this reputation, and I've never seen you do anything but knowing how to carry yourself and keep a good mental headspace and sharing that with the people you work with. What's the secret there?
With the people I work with, it's just being, it's a lot of my father's, little things like, show somebody respect that you would want them to show you. You know what I mean?
Sure. Treat people as you wish to be treated.
And he had a big thing, and Ronnie Dio was the best at it, and that was, you always learn a person's name.
Yes, sir.
And, Ronnie was scary. He'd come back like 3 years later and know a person's name.
That's
just
special talent. Yeah, that's special.
That was scary. But my dad said the same thing, and I would do the same thing. It's just, it's out of respect.
Absolutely. No, you couldn't be more wrong. There's little things like that. They seem obvious, but it's. I feel like some of these little details in modern life with some of the younger folks, the pleases and the thank yous and the eye-to-eye contact.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the stuff that we were well trained in that was a way you interacted in a polite society, in a respectful society, is I see some of it dipping off. I think maybe there's a slightly different focus on what it is to parent and what kind of outcome you're looking for in a kid to be successful in life. And I don't think they're doing it quite the way we were raised, Scotty.
I don't believe so either. I think a lot of it was military.
I think you're right.
A lot of our fathers were,
yes, sir.
were military or raised by military or just strict parents.
Right. Yeah, there was a
my
time.
mom went to work, I think she was like 12.
That's amazing.
in San Leandro at the canneries.
That is amazing.
You know, and
so different.
That's pretty much what it was.
Well, as a father and a grandfather, I keep my fingers crossed. I was lucky. I was born with a really down-to-earth, mellow kid that does the right things. But we always hope for the best. Listen, you've had an amazing career. I noted some of your accomplishments. It's fascinating to me to have been in the game as long as you have, and it's really
It's still alive.
Yeah, and kicking it and looking good, and I mean that now. Really, you keeping this thing working pretty well, brother.
Yeah, a little thick.
Hey, that just happens, man. Around 47, I realized that I had to stop eating whole pizzas, thinking I was gonna walk that shit off because it wasn't happening no more.
It was 50 with me.
It was a 50. Yeah. It's just that time, man. Just the switch gets flipped and the metabolism goes away, and now I look at a tub of Ben and Jerry's. I might as well just tape it to my ass because it's staying wherever if I take it in. Tell me, give me the elevator pitch on what led you to get into this business.
Actually, it was a funny thing. It was a Y&T show, which I went to school with Minichetti.
Okay.
Dave Minichetti, the guitar player and writer. And God, we lived within a 3-block radius of Leonard Hayes, Dave Minichetti. Phil Kennemore lived up by King Junior High School. And then Joey came along later from the San Lorenzo boys. And it was, that's how I got into it. I went to see a show to actually beat the shit out of the promoter of the show.
That sounds very reasonable.
Because he had pushed either a friend of mine's, I don't even remember, a friend of mine's girlfriend or maybe it was my girlfriend, I don't know. But had manhandled her.
Not cool.
And he was a little dweeb, and it was like, so I went there to beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And Dave goes, "Oh, you have a Volkswagen bus." He goes, "Can you maybe take some cabinets home for us?"
That's right.
And this is in 7
Okay.
in Oakland.
Yeah.
Because we were all born and raised in Oakland. And it was like, sure. And that was the beginning, and that carried on through our graduation. Then we went to Washington and did the whole Northeast, or Northwest, I should say.
For a minute there, Y&T were killing it. I believe it's the
Yeah.
first place I met you at an album release party. I want to say me and George, it was in Monterey. And I want to say early 80s. I can't place the year. I don't want to start pulling shit out of my ass. But
No, it would have been 70s.
yeah, and then
I was with him from 73 until 75.
And then
I went to Journey. Because it's the same management.
Well, the first time I saw Y&T was definitely an album release party in Monterey, and they were still kind of working it out, coming up. And then they just went boom, and had quite a career.
But they never went boom.
They would open up for the Scorpions, and and I think they were, there's like
It's a
Elvis
shame.
Costello. Some bands are like musicians get it. It's like music for musicians opposed to for the
Y&T
masses,
is
and
that band.
Y&T was that way. I always felt like they had the chops, they had the thing, and both of us in our careers, we've seen opening acts that we thought, God damn, they got something. That should work. And it doesn't, and nothing happens, and it certainly isn't necessarily because the band wasn't good.
Right.
It's something, some of a part of the the recipe wasn't in place, or just the luck. Sometimes it's just luck. But
Right.
it could be the exposure to management back then. Albums, labels had a lot to do with if you were successful.
Airplay and-
Yes, radio stuff. Absolutely crazy, very different time. I'm not going to do this interview linearly. We talked about it. We're going to bounce around a little bit.
fine.
But you have such a remarkable career. Talk to us, a Bay Area, a legendary Bay Area band. Which I worked
Which
with.
one?
I did some work with him and George with Starship, but you came up with them and did Starship, but when it was Jefferson Airplane? Did you work with them?
No, Jefferson Starship.
Jefferson Starship.
Yeah, it was 1980, mid-1980. I started with them. I left Journey.
Yeah.
And went on to Starship and did them till 82. And that's when Grace came back.
Right.
And from there, it's like I had to go to the band and ask them if I could leave to do a band that was like worldwide, which was Men at Work.
Yeah.
And it was like my chance to go around the world,
Well, talk to me about that. So that was the first. Men at Work was the first guys that took you and spread you out like that?
We went
Well, that was
no country unseen.
They were really hitting it big. They had that break.
2 top 10 records.
That's right. And they had a minute there where they just kind of owned that slot. Not sure even how to.
A minute.
Yeah, well,
That's what it was.
Yeah, and it's just the nature of this game.
Yeah.
There are very few Rolling Stones out there, that can keep that longevity and the stamina of just that effect.
Well, Journey does it.
Journey,
we still sell out.
To their credit, Neil is a driven man. We know this, and clever as hell. And when he came up with that singer, my God, what a
Arnell, yes.
Yeah, Arnell is incredible. He's an incredible force of his talent and
a nice man. Just a beautiful man.
I've only had a how you doing kind of backstage interaction with him, nothing more. And you hear the stories. I guess at first for a minute there, I guess he was a little homesick and I know around the year mark he started getting a little wanting back to get to the Philippines and that interesting time.
It was odd for me, though, because that was full circle for me. Because I went from Y&T to Journey from 75 to 80, and then to Starship. But in 2013, I came back to Journey.
Wow.
And that's where I kind of want to retire.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But this whole pandemic just
throw a monkey wrench in that.
fucked that up.
Yeah, well, it's yet to see how this is all going to play out. Who was the first band you were a tour manager for?
Tour manager was Ronnie James Dio.
Oh man.
And it was weird because I had been production manager for other bands and he goes, "Well, we want you to do production and tour manage." And I was like, "Oh." And Ronnie's productions weren't small.
No.
They were like,
he's the real deal.
They were like pyramids that tops came off.
Yeah, that's right.
Dragons that went out and
That's right.
got stuck on a wire that we're trying to get out and you're pushing it from behind.
I love those moments in the show.
God.
There's always that's the stuff you remember.
Everybody's
forever.
looking at each other like, "What's going on?" And the snake's head is caught in a wire and it's not going out. And
That's perfect.
all of a sudden it breaks loose and the thing goes phew,
Like a
almost
rocket.
almost to off stage.
Takes off down the stage.
Listen, now maybe my research is wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. TourLink gave you Tour Manager of the Year 2014.
And 2007.
Okay, let's not be bragging too much here, sir.
Well,
The
one
Tour
was-
Manager of the Year for TourLink's a pretty good deal. How'd that make you feel?
Good.
Yeah,
Incredible.
right.
I mean, it's like, that's from your peers.
No doubt. No.
And 2007 was with Hillary Duff.
No way.
Which was, I mean, I got pulled into that one, was like, it was pretty heavy. I mean, it was like, she was like the biggest thing going there.
Yeah, she was killing it in that era. That's right.
We went from doing clubs to theaters in like 2 months.
Oh,
And
wow.
then from theaters, in like the 4th month, we were in arenas. And, it's like...
That's a quick turnaround.
Ralph Mastrangelo helped me, like, build because I was on the road with her.
Yeah.
And like I said, doing production and tour managing. And so he helped me build the whole stage setup, and what have you.
Well, he's legendary in his own right. I see his stuff on social media every so often, and I don't think I've ever seen a more proud father. That guy.
No, he's a good man.
He loves his kids, and any spare money
yeah.
he got, he's with the kids, and he's doing something fun and exciting. And
Yep.
I kind of admire him for that. And plus, he's just a kind of a badass in his own right.
Yeah, he's
so
a good dude.
always a good time. You're working with him. You mentioned your time with Journey. We both know 75 to 80, they were kind of murdering it, right? I mean,
They were starting,
they were-
75 was actually pre-Steve Perry.
Yeah. Who
And
was
then-
the original singer?
The original singer was Greg Raleigh,
Wow.
the keyboard player.
Yeah.
And then they had it for a minute. They had, like you said, for a minute they had Robert Flashman, who wrote "Wheel in the Sky."
Great song.
Yeah, and he came on, and then Steve came on.
Steve brought a little something special to it.
Yeah, he did, huh?
You know,
You think?
yeah. And interesting cat, incredibly talented guy. I remember seeing him one time, and I walked up to him, and he had this little mustache, which just was not working. It just had no earthly place to be on his face, and I couldn't help myself. I just walked up and said, "Steve, it's been a minute. the mustache has got to go. I swear to God.
Shave the worm.
I swear to Christ. He came out later. He was like, when we done sound check, we were nibbling on some food or some shit, and then there's 3 or 4 hours before he's meant to be on stage, and he rolls out freshly shaved, and I thought, oh man, I didn't hurt his feelings.
Yeah, he probably did. That's all right.
He's been known to be a little teeny bit sensitive. Talk about the evolution with.
I love the underbreath.
Yeah, well, the rule we mentioned before.
Yeah.
It's a hard, fast rule, but we do tickle around the edge a little bit. Give a little flavor without giving all the, you know what I mean?
I get it.
Yeah, we don't want to overburden it with too much color, but a little pinch never hurt. Just to toss that in.
A little sting.
Talk about the evolution with Journey, because I know you didn't come in running the thing. Yeah,
I was in as Ainsley's drum tech.
Wow.
And that was, in 75 when I came in. And I was his drum tech, moved up stage manager, stage manager, then went to, I was trying to learn from Buster Weary how to rig, and got stuck on an air conditioning vent in Nashville, Tennessee, at the Municipal Auditorium, I think it was.
Oh, shit.
I got my belt stuck.
Ooh.
And they had to come up and get me, and that was the end of my rigging career.
So you said maybe I'll sit closer to the ground?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that.
And then I became, the very last, very last year I was there, I became production manager. And that's to say, what happened. It was time to move on.
Yeah. But you worked your way through the ranks all the way to production manager.
All the way to production manager.
I mean, that's the story.
I was young. I was young for that.
They seem to have always been one of those kind of bands that's willing to keep the younger folks in the mix in a place other than just pulling feet and so they give you opportunities in that band. And
right, and then you make your own opportunities too.
Of course, that's a big part of it was the fact that you're a logistics master and a super good guy, and you carry yourself different than many others in the game. It's funny because I was mentioning our Benny Collins, a dear friend and a legend in the game. He was Madonna and Michael Jackson and Journey, of course. And your styles are, very different.
Except I don't talk like that.
You don't have a voice. You need that southern bullpen.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he was one of a kind.
He was a real brother.
One of a kind and sorely missed. One of the sadder last loadouts I've ever been to was that one. Or maybe it just as we get older, we get a little more emotional. I don't know because
people are close.
Yeah, that one, I remember there was some tears involved with that one. That one sucked a little bit.
That one, and Marshall.
Oh, Marshall Holmes. Yeah, that was a real, we've got some of his ashes on the wall in there in a little vial.
I got a little bindle.
You remember how I've been there, done that. Van Halen, one of the biggest rock bands ever to grace the planet. You had a very integral history with him. Talk to me about Van Halen, your experience with Van Halen.
Van Halen, I got the job, actually. I did Poison before that, in their heyday, which was, those guys were huge.
Yeah.
They talk about too much, too fast.
Probably correct, yeah.
Yeah. But they were great, and then I went to Van Halen for 12 years.
Yeah, that's
the longest move I've made, longest period of time.
And this is during the Hagar years.
Yes.
And the Gary, how do you pronounce
Gary Cherone.
Cherone, yeah. I always struggle with his last name. He was from Extreme, I think.
Yes.
Is that it? Yeah. Great singer.
Oh, amazing.
Amazing singer. Also could play guitar fairly well.
I didn't hear him. That was Nuno. From Extreme, yeah.
Gotcha.
But that was great years.
You enjoy your time with Van Halen?
Loved it. It was like, who could ask for anything more?
Yeah, that's right. It's some special stuff.
Yeah.
That's the stuff you get to tell the grandchildren about, and they'll be like, who's Van Halen? That's also a thing that's I find curious is the young people aren't very willing to look back in time and the music that has inspired the music that is of today. And I feel like they're missing out a lot on some of the...
I don't know. My kids grew up like going to the mountains every weekend and to go skiing. They learned how to ski when they were 3.
Wow.
And they knew all the music that we listened to.
I think that's just
my
being raised in your household, though.
Stuff is Rick James.
Wow.
You know, James Brown.
Sure.
My son loves Rick James. I mean, and it's just from us going in the mountains and listen to it, you know.
Exposure.
And we always had vehicles that had sound systems.
Yes, of course you did. Yeah. I can imagine. It was probably probably fun being a kid in your house. You know, some of the stuff Daddy got up to, and the cool ass record collection, and the exception to the rule, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
You used to drive this gold Cadillac. It was a 65, I think. That you were known for taking Journey into shows with Van Halen.
No, it was Van Halen.
Was it just Van Halen?
It was my L.A. car.
Your L.A. vehicle.
Instead of renting a vehicle, I talked to the band's accountant and business manager, and talked to the band first, of course, and then talked to the business manager and said, "What if I bought my own car that I knew was like in top shape and had seat belts, and I could take all the band?" And I said, "I bought it, and you kind of rented it from me, and it was insured under me, which, you know, I have a big umbrella policy and stuff." So
sure.
And they went, "Sure." So I bought the vehicle. I think you see.
There it goes, right there.
There it is.
That beautiful thing.
Now it's convertible, 65 convertible.
They do not make them like that anymore.
Which ended up being bought from me by a heart surgeon from John Muir.
Okay.
And he put it on auction and gave the proceeds to, God, where was it? I think
Bridge school or something.
South Africa.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and they built like schools and hospitals.
And did he use
with the money.
Did they use the history of the vehicle to help increase
Yeah,
the
to help,
values?
yeah,
And this
yeah,
is
I
the
mean,
Van Halen car, the Scotty Ross Van Halen car.
And the Journey guys signed it.
You
know, when we were in LA or in Las Vegas, they signed it, and it was. But it wasn't. I mean, that car was. I've had that car for 10 years.
Yeah, it's a beautiful car.
It was gorgeous.
Hell of a car. If people have never ridden in these old school cars, we were talking before the show, they were kind of a special thing. It was there was a weird combination of as much power as you need while driving a couch.
Right.
And it had this very remember the suspension in those? They kind of did that
floaters.
It was really a special thing. I kind of miss those cars. I miss my Caddy, and I'm sure you do every so often with yours. I got kind of a tricky question. It's not tricky. It's a little tongue in cheek, but I know you worked with Blue Oyster Cult.
Yes.
And as you know, they kind of had a resurgence that every so often comes up based on a Saturday Night Live skit. Where they're doing the recording Don't Fear the Reaper, and they're doing the cowbell.
Yeah.
And Will Ferrell's like losing his mind.
Right.
That's a classic skit. I'm curious, in your time with Blue Oyster Cult, did you actually ever hear anybody say more cowbell?
No.
Yeah.
No, but I was in charge of Godzilla.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Godzilla was on a forklift. He used to raise up above the drummer, and I got to kill him.
No shit.
At the end of like 3 years, I got to kill Godzilla. Kill him with a sledgehammer.
That's legendary.
That thing was the biggest pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, set pieces
Every
are never
night
fun.
something messed up.
Yeah, never fun.
It was like Ronnie Dio's, all his props.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
Oh, it's the Spinal Tap moment. You know,
Exactly.
he comes out of the cocoon and the other ones are locked up, then his arm gets locked in. It's just, you might want to keep small children, animals, and props pieces off of your set of your stage if you're trying to make it quick, easy, and fun. But they always throw stuff at us to make it a little more challenging, more interesting. That's the game. Nowadays the bells and buzzers and whistles they throw at shows are endless between pyro, Cairo, lighting, LED. It's just
LED. And
LED walls.
Projection.
It just doesn't end. It's a nuts. I was looking through your resume, and one thing that jumped out that I thought was interesting was that you did some work with Shakira.
Yeah, I did her. It was a promo tour.
Okay.
For Hips Don't Lie, the record.
That was kind of a big deal.
Well, it was huge with Wyclef.
Worldwide. No shit.
With Wyclef, and we went, throughout Europe doing that.
Well, that must have shocked the shit out of him.
And it was amazing. And she is a major talent. She knows exactly.
Extraordinarily disciplined, focused.
And knows exactly. She won't do any ad lib thing, or like not ad lib, stuff that's pre-recorded.
Yes.
It's all gonna be live.
Shouldn't do the track act thing.
And
Yeah,
exactly. And
right.
she wouldn't do any track that she didn't have the actual musician or a player. Like if there was conga on there, that'd be conga live.
That's beyond professional. That's integrity.
Yeah.
You know, and that's.
She's a talent, man.
I was watching this thing on her recent appearance on the Super Bowl and what it took for her to get that all done. And apparently she went into a soundstage for 2 months and worked 50-odd people between dancers and band
I can believe
to
that.
the bone, you know, until they fell over every night to get that thing done. And that's impressed me as just who she was. You know, it's just the way her work ethic is solid.
Yeah.
Enjoyable experience.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
Very
Lovely,
much so.
lovely.
But like I said, pretty strict. I mean, she actually, I had one thing, I think it was in Madrid, where the piano player was in a, what do you call it, lift
Oh, sure.
at center stage. And I had already timed it when I started the lift, what time, you know, how many seconds it took for it to reach stage. And then that way she would leave the interview point and go over to the stage and do the song. Well, it's like, it's just something natural that you do when you're production manager, to time it, see how long it's going to take.
Absolutely.
Excuse me. But it was funny because she asked me, came right up front and asked me, how long does it take? And when I said it took 11 seconds, she went, wow, okay.
She was impressed that
Yeah,
you knew.
she was impressed that I
But you
knew.
were standing there just
And it
as
was like,
impressed that
bang,
she asked
yeah.
that question.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
Yeah, no, that's a
Yeah.
pro.
Yeah.
That's a real pro and somebody who cares about the art. And that's all I've ever known of her myself
Yeah.
is that she's a real deal. She's
Yeah, she's an
professional.
artist.
Some people were born to do this job.
Right.
You know, some people were born to do the Scotty Ross role. You're an ape-type personality, and you know how to lead men and women and get a thing done under deadline and under pressure. She was born to be a rock star.
Yeah.
And it's just that simple. And talking about born to be a rock star, you know, I don't fanboy very much. I don't, I think the last time I was impressed by anybody was hanging out in the bathroom with Greg Allman, just tripping out like, wow, you were married to Cher, you crazy tall bastard. You know, it was like just this weird moment I was having with him. I can't even explain it.
You weren't staring at him in the other
No,
stall.
hell no. But I was just sitting there realizing I was having trouble urinating because
That's
I'm
when he
hanging
peed on
out
your
with
leg,
Greg's
right?
like right next to me, and we're like, and I realized what a mammoth of a man he is. And he's got this lion's mane of hair.
Right.
You know, it's just probably the first and only time I've ever been super impressed. But this entry on your resume is one of my favorite people. Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah.
That had to be great. I've only had the luxury of seeing him live as a fan, as a
Was
guest.
an amazing man.
Oh,
I mean,
dude.
of all people, and my wife will say the same, that he was the nicest man that I've worked for. The nicest.
I've heard a lot of stories from a lot of different people about a lot of different artists, and all I've ever heard about Ronnie James Dio is he was just a true consummate professional and a gentleman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was like either he liked you or he didn't. There was no
wasn't-
in between.
It wasn't good to be on that side of it.
I wouldn't want to be on that side.
Yeah, and he was, you know, I was surprised. First time I saw him, it was I think it was for the Heaven and Hell tour with Black Sabbath, and we got close up and somehow or another and interacted and it blew me away. He was a tiny little guy.
Torture midget.
He was a tiny little dude.
That's what we call
I don't know what his actual height was,
priceless.
but it was really
5 foot.
surprising. Yeah, about 5'1", and
Tiny.
but that voice would just come up.
Yeah.
I mean, and he could write. His lyrics were. I always enjoyed his work. It was a
He was
good
just
time
a
for you.
sweet man, though. With the nicest man I've ever worked for.
Yeah.
I mean, the nicest.
Legendary,
Just
artist.
amazing. Like I said earlier about the, could remember names.
Yeah, that's
And
impressive.
it's just, It was unreal.
Incredibly helpful in a civilized world, and talk about a guy that saw the whole world. There was I don't think one bit of it he didn't put a foot on, and what an impressive career. It was sad when he passed away.
Yeah, it very much was.
But amazing. So to you for having that experience and making that thing.
He was the man that brought me into tour managing.
Super, super lucky. Oh, I noticed you worked with Saliva. Now, Saliva, and I enjoy the shit out of this band.
They are great.
Yeah, right? Rockin' band.
I think they were the best. At that time, they were the best live band out there.
They really, when they put their foot in the gas, man, they brought a show. And I remember seeing, I don't know where the hell it was, but they were opening up for some, I think it was actually for like Nickelback. I think Nickelback
Cedar.
and them had some deal they did with like a Spider-Man movie or something.
Spider-Man, exactly.
And I was there as a tech, and again, hard to impress. And they came on, and I had to stop what I was doing. I was in a position that allowed for that, and I stood stage right and just watched that happen, and was a fan from that moment on. Just an impressive. Did you enjoy that experience?
Yeah, Josie, the lead singer.
Great singer.
Josie Scott was an amazing lead singer.
Yeah.
I mean, and he like commanded the audience.
Yes, he had that was what I noticed, was he had a kind of an ability to lift them up, pull them forward, and push them. Yeah, that's a talent in itself.
He was one of the guys that started that whole thing.
That's right. Yeah.
Where everybody's pogoing and the
highly underrated band. And
what happened is they had the song "Click Click Boom," and it was when 9/11 happened. And that song was moving up the charts, and I think it was number 2.
And they had to
and they
shelf it.
pulled it.
Yeah, of course.
And that kind of ended their.
That's rough.
Yeah,
that's rough. That's just part of the game. But I was surprised they didn't do better. Now that makes sense why that might have been a stumbling block. And plus, that in that period of time, there was it was the guitar-driven music largely, and that seems to have kind of.
Well, they had. Wayne Swinney is like an amazing guitar player.
Yeah.
And they had Chris DeBaldo, who was rhythm guitar, who was like solid. I mean, that band was a great band.
Yeah, they brought it was a very full, live. Big, complete
live.
Sound.
It was like
yeah,
rock your socks off.
Excellent live performance. That's all the way I knew them, is to just kill it live. What's this deal about? I mentioned in the intro that you are known. And now, I've had a lot of badasses on the show, and we'll talk about who's coming up next. And they say, oh, you got Scotty Ross coming on. Yeah, he's the nicest guy I ever met in this game. What is the secret to that? How do you get a reputation among some of the most accomplished people in this industry as being the nicest guy in rock and roll? That term is a term that was used by more than one of my former guests.
Just treat people as you'd like to be treated.
My God, dude,
it's not rocket science. It's rock and roll. You know what I mean? In Starship, we had jackets that said that. It's not rocket science. It's rock and roll.
That's kind of perfect.
That's it.
What have you been doing to keep yourself busy this last 6 months?
Trying to work on the garage and the yard and all
that
this stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Kind of. I just finally got a hall light working after about a year.
You got the time for it.
Yeah, well, yeah, but the problem is, we just switched out offices because I'm not sure if I'm going to retire or not. But we switched out offices, and Trish went in to my office. So now I find myself like in the front room, just like looking at my phone, not even on the computer.
Oh,
So
no.
it's kind of cool. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I know what I need to get done, but I don't know what we're going to do. I like to build cars.
I hear you also like
Volkswagens.
Schwinn's and knives.
Stingrays and knives.
old Schwinn's.
Knives and
Yeah.
guns.
Hey, he's got a knife collection that rivals yours, Ben.
Oh, I bet it's way better than
Easy.
mine.
Easy.
Yeah, see. Yeah. And this is, by the way, this is just enough to keep me out of you guys.
And you don't have any
anywhere.
Berlins, like the kind that goes straight in and straight out.
Oh, stiletto. I found them to be.
I thought stiletto was the Italian one.
I've found stilettos are very undependable. If you need to use a knife in a moment, you're having a moment, the stiletto is not your friend. They tend to retract when you need to engage them in a way to do business.
But not the Italian one.
Well, I guess I think I was probably the few that I've interacted through the years with, because they're fun to play with and they look cool. Were the south of the border ones?
Yeah, no. Mine's from Berlin.
Oh, see, that's probably a really great piece.
It's got like a spring from a '57 Buick. It's like you put it up to this road case and it'll go right through it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't leave that laying around; it'll turn up missing.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, because roll by and swipe it. You worked with the Who.
The Who, yes. What happened was Roy Lamb, who's the production manager, his wife Jenny had a massive heart attack,
Wow.
and they were just in rehearsals in Florida, and I had just left the Celtic Woman thing,
Yes, sir.
the Irish thing, and he said, "Hey, you're off," and I mean, I had just come home from South Africa, and it was like the next Monday. He goes, "Your bag's still packed?" I go, "Yeah, why?" And he goes, "Can you come down to Florida and take this over for me?" I go, "Sure."
Wow.
So I took it over for, I think, 3 months.
What an opportunity.
And yeah, it was a quadrophenia.
Wow.
And the guys were so nice. The crew was so nice. I mean, everybody was like, treated me like gold.
That's really great.
And it was really nice. It was a lot of fun.
I know Pete likes to keep a real close hand on things in the operation of the band. Any special challenges there?
He's a large, tall man.
He's a very tall man.
I mean, he's like 6'5" or something like that.
Yeah.
And every day when I'd meet him and I'd meet Roger at their car and bring him back to the dressing room. And Pete would always grab my ear. "How's it going?" And that was it.
He'd reach down and grab your
Yeah,
ear.
exactly like this, And I'd walk in the dressing room. But very kind people, treated me really well. I worked with Rex King, who's been a dear friend, a tour manager forever, and one of my idols. Rex King is like.
Yeah, he was a little ahead of you.
Oh,
and
way ahead of me.
in this time frames of things, and
He's
kind
done-
of
he's
to say the
done
least, a
everybody.
legend.
Clapton.
Yeah, that's right.
All my idols.
Right. Well, are you a big guitar fan? Do you have a preference? You
Yeah,
drum
you mean-
guy, you a guitar guy?
All of it.
Well, you mentioned what made me say that is that we were just talking about Pete Townsend, the Windmill of Death, and then you brought up Eric Clapton, and I was just going to ask you about your time with Jeff Beck, because I mean that's not the trifecta of badasses right there in the guitar world.
Jeff Beck was when I was like in between Y&T and Journey in the '70s, and it was the Jeff Beck and Up with Jan Hammer.
No shit.
And it was very cool. It was very cool.
Yeah, that's a slight understatement. I mean, what a lineup! Jesus Christ, that
was
been
great.
fun. Yeah,
It was great.
You kind of do need to write a book, brother. I mean, I've heard this about my career a little bit too, but I struggle to keep things linearly, and so remembering it seems very daunting. But I would read your book. I bet it would be fascinating.
Charlie Hernandez always said that we should grab a bunch of us old tour manager, production managers, jump on a bus and go through every city, major city in the nation.
Just to trigger memories and
just
stories.
trigger memories.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. That's actually pretty clever.
Exactly, yeah.
And you kind of capture your memories as you're there, and then come back, and I can imagine that working very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would.
Production manager's version of like Sound City or something.
Yes,
That would,
exactly.
Imagine how
like
cool
like
that would be.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
It would be.
And I bet you could sell that idea really easy.
I think so.
Yeah.
We
well,
shouldn't have said it live. Sorry.
There you go. Just make sure I'm on it.
Yeah, right. Scotty Ross, give him a call. You really can't do a tour manager, production manager thing like that without the great Scotty Ross. It would make no sense at all. And sadly, losing people like Benny Collins, who can you imagine what he would have to say if?
Man.
And so there's not a lot of
That was a hard
time,
one.
and I don't mean this in a morbid way, but we're all on a clock. It's the leaf in the tree thing, and if we're going to get certain knowledge and experiences shared with the world, we have a time limit to get that done. So it's certainly something to think about. But and I can only imagine your book would be fascinating. It would be fascinating. You mentioned we talked about Men at Work early on. and the great success they had, and that's where you got your first kind of big break of touring around the world. Tell me about the feeling with that. I've always loved the travel part of the game.
It was crazy with Men at Work, though, because the tour manager was actually a bodyguard for like Dennis Wilson for the Beach Boys.
Sure, yeah.
And for Fleetwood Mac. And he didn't know anything but first class. So there was 8 of us on the crew that traveled on Pan Am at the time.
Right.
Traveled worldwide in first class.
No shit.
Wow.
Enough, that after a year and a half, worldwide, I had enough points to take myself, my wife, and our best friends, couple, and we flew down to the Caribbean and stayed at like 4-star hotels for a month.
That's awesome.
And then traveled around all the other islands.
That's so good.
And it was all first class. It was crazy.
Oh, that's amazing.
I was not very old then.
Yeah, good shit. Yeah. Oh, so good. Yeah, and they were a fun band. They brought a certain flavor to the scene at the time that I think was missing, and I think that's what helped to kind of spawn that popularity that they had. So, yeah, they were interesting. Do you have any advice? Scott, you've been doing this for a long time, and there's people that will be watching this that are all the different ranges of, the different part of the game, from stagehands to fellow tour managers and production managers to promoters and owners. Any advice for the youngsters, the young people that want to get into this game? Should they get into this game? Right. Is this something?
Always listen. Listen to what other people have to say. I've always been a big fan of asking the other guys that I work with. I say that as other guys, they're not below me. They're working with me. And I'll say, maybe somebody's got a better idea. Please don't hesitate to say it, It's
Absolutely.
like, I won't be offended.
No, you're not. You just couldn't be more right about that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you need to do. You need to listen. Sometimes shut up and listen. And don't be an egotistical fuck. You know what I mean?
It's a great bit of advice, and we've heard it before. Younger people struggle, I think, keeping their eye on the prize and listening. But I try to point out to some of the guys, the gray kind of means something. There's some extra time and extra tools in our toolboxes, and maybe pay attention if we're talking, and we will try to do the same with you, because these youngsters come up with, they're bringing a whole bunch of stuff that was a little outside of where our comfort zone with the digital nature of things.
Right. And
so I couldn't agree with that advice anymore. How heavy is the feeling of being a tour manager on some of the massive tours? You feel like the sense of responsibility. That it's, and in many ways, you're going to go do a thing with Journey. There are going to be 30,000 people out there, 60,000 eyes. Mm-hmm. Ticket prices aren't that cheap anymore. How do you carry that weight of the responsibility of knowing that in a way, a lot of this falls to you to get all the disciplines and all the departments firing?
On all 4.
Yeah.
Or all 8.
Whatever it has to be.
Or 16 or whatever, yeah.
Exactly.
It just work with the right people.
Yeah.
On Journey, it's like Rob Kern's my boss, and he's a production manager, tour manager, which I'm just the road manager, so I handle the band, and he doesn't have to deal with the band, but he does the live show. But like with Van Halen, when I was tour manager, it was just always make sure that everybody's getting their money's worth.
Yeah, sure.
And, don't falter on that at all.
Yeah, and that's very important. Very, very important. With your many years of experience in this business, this is a trick question, so there's no real good answer to it or bad answer to. We got this weird thing that's going on with the COVID-19, and then there's some political upheaval, and the country, the nation, the world, really, in many ways, is a little changed and different. But people like us, as far as I'm concerned, the minute somebody gives me a green light, I'm stacks and racks and
right, gone. Yeah.
Faders all up to fucking blast off, and we're going to work. You got any sense of what the future holds for our industry?
If you look at what's going on, you can see that I can't see a live indoor show until next year, like late next year.
That sounds about right.
But outdoor shows, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I've seen these setups, and Fuki and I were just talking about this, where they have like their own little zone.
The corrals.
Yeah, the
little
corrals. They're all
Sure.
aluminum, you know, and I mean, setup. I mean, flooring for an outdoor show is one
So
thing.
expensive for
Is-
each
is-
little tower.
Yeah,
Terraplast
exactly.
and so on, yeah.
And to put those things up now on top of that, I mean, how the fuck is somebody going to afford a ticket?
Right. We were already doing shows with the production values being what they are with the large shows, where you had to sell 80% of the tickets just to get to profitability.
Exactly. Just get to that point.
So adding in all this extra infrastructure and then thinking arrogantly that we were somehow be able to control space of 30,000 people at a live concert situation is, I think, asking a lot. And depending, I mean, there may be some places in New Zealand, some parts
Right.
of, you know, London or the
Hobbit
Great Britain.
town.
Yeah, where you might have a little more where people are willing to play along, I guess it is. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think we'll start probably first, like you said, outdoors. Maybe with still masks required.
Yeah,
They'll probably
I would
checking
think.
temperatures at the
Right.
at the gate.
Right.
And then we'll slowly evolve back into, you know, sheds and barns
Two
and
seats in between, and
something like that.
Yeah.
But to see how that will make financial sense is a
That's-
little hard to.
Yeah,
work
200
out,
bucks a
right.
car right now is not
Yeah.
that much.
Well, in the
I
car,
agree.
The car
It's
thing,
not-
I don't
not
know if you
doable.
guys have seen any of this, which you know is fascinating, and to repurpose the drive-ins, which we grew up with. I mean,
Right,
it was a part
exactly.
of our life. I love those
San
things.
Leandro, they took two great ones out
Yeah, I mean,
on
just
150th.
well, you know,
Those two great.
the dirt under there is just so damn valuable, you know, and you got to admit a lot of those were dormant for a decade or two,
Right.
And then to repurpose them in this way to have these shows. We did a couple. We did one with Keith Urban, I think, with Brad Paisley out of our Tennessee shop, and they went well. But if you walk around as it's taking place, and they're using that short band FM. So you're pulling it in on your radio. The cacophony of sound coming from all these different vehicles in different delay time. You know, it's a tricky one. It's very rough. But it may be, you know, how we creep back out there. I know that there are some people doing live streaming from actually event places. We have a show out right now with a rap star guy named G-Eazy, and he's taking over the Independent for the evening. And they'll let 60 or 70 people in, kind of try to space them. But for the next little while, it looks like it's going to be a little tricky.
Yeah.
We're gonna still be able to see you come to the show, and the great Scotty Ross going to be making it all happen.
Oh, we'll see that. We'll
Buddy,
see.
I can't hear.
I'm at retirement age right now, so but you know what? It's I've spent 48 years on the road, and it's time to spend 40 whatever I got left with my wife and you know, not handling my family like I do these band members. You know,
Well,
that's the thing.
I get where you're coming from. It would be a great loss to our industry if for some reason out of you decide to hang up your tool belt and you put your flashlight on the shelf.
Flashlight,
But I tell you what, you know that we love you, and I think I can speak for the majority of the heads in our industry. The contribution.
too kind.
No, it's true though, Scotty. The contribution you've made to this industry, and some of the norms that you've set, and the work ethic you've shown, and the bands that you've brought along with your love and care and close attention to detail is priceless and a testament to you, sir.
Well, thank you, sir.
I very much want to
Thank
thank
you
you
both.
for
Yeah,
coming
thanks
on
for
our
coming
show
on.
and traveling out here tonight. It's great to see you all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and thanks for being a part of our little shindig here.
Thank you, brother.
All right, my brother. Do
I
well.
really looked forward to this interview, so it was great hearing from you.
Thank you.
Really great to hear.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. My good friend, we got some people to thank.
We sure do. We got a list.
Well, I'll screw that up. I can't read that well. But again, just to mention, we're kind of the podcast thing. We want to see that take, get feet. So if you want to hear what we do, we put, what we got?
We got 16 up so far.
Oh, man, you're killing it.
I know.
That's not as easy as that sounds. We just strip the audio away and he pushes it up onto another platform. There's some work that goes into it. And so, good stuff, man. I really appreciate you doing that and dealing with that. That's available on Amazon Music, Google, Pandora, Spotify, iTunes, and Stitcher. And we hope you enjoy the content there. And we'll just keep adding as we create content and as we sift through it and do the preparations it takes to build that all up. I would tell you our guest coming up on Thursday is the great James Geddes, but it actually doesn't make sense in this context. So I'll sit on that. Just ignore that last little part. Listen, I couldn't do this by myself. It's simple as that a large amount of the credit has to go to the good people at Sound Image. My dear brother, George Edwards, for giving us the space. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Georgie.
And the one and only CEO of Southern California Sound Image and all Sound Image in it. All of his guys. This is the great Dave Shadone. Thank you, boss.
Shadone.
We love you, my
Davey.
brother. Thank you, Big Doug. He's our big the overlord. The good people at Large Screen Video. These are people that, like, listen, you want to go big. You need video services and LED on your show. You call Large Screen Video. Get a hold of Cameron Brown down there and his people. They are the best. They are the originators.
Are you telling me they have large screens and video?
At LSV. You
No
call these people
way.
at LSV, and they got these large screens.
Guys
and
are
video,
pro.
And but seriously, if you want to go big and you need the biggest, best LED wall ever, that's who you call. Check out Cameron Brown over there. And I'm not going to stop doing this for a while. And we miss you, John Rigney, from Large Screen Video. He passed recently, and it just sucks. And so our love to all of you at Large Screen Video. You guys hang in there. And of course, the good people at slowfiber.com, we use them they help us out with custom masks, sound image masks, so the people in my other shops and ourselves can work together comfortably. So if you need these types of custom supplies, reach out to the people at slowfiber.com. They'll help you out. And it goes without saying, my dear friend, co-executive producer and director, Michael Brown, who does it all back there. He's running the cameras, he's doing the audio, he's switching, he's general all-around badass.
We're getting you a shirt, dude, that says The Octopus.
The octopus. It just hands going in all these different directions. It's kind of a magical thing. Thank you, my brother. And of course, thank you, sir. Kyle Thomas, we couldn't do it without you keeping up the fort with the, and don't forget to get the after show picture with the
I got it.
Instagram.
I will. I don't have a
picture.
tweener headache this time. I'm not dipping out
He
soon.
was broken last show. It just God had stepped on his neck or something, and your head was about to.
I think it was
explode.
the smoke. There's too much smoke.
Oh, stop it! There's never
Too many
smoke.
fires
I
around
need
us,
you to
Vinny.
man up a little bit. Well, the smoking it's all in your head. I don't know what that's about, but
Do you ever light the beard on fire?
every so often. Yeah, the beard has come victim to the Zippo. And it's like, well, it's another couple months. And I'm never going to win this bet. I got a bet with Billy Gibbons that I'm going to outgrow beards with him. And
Not a
he's got such a lead on me. I was thinking, because I was a little younger, I might have a chance, but I'm going to end up owing him $5 no matter what happens. That's the deal. And
There you go.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose that bet. Listen, we love you guys. If you're enjoying what we're doing, please check us out on YouTube, Facebook Live, or Twitch. And remember, we do this thing every Thursday night at 7. So mainly, take care of yourselves and be good to each other. We'll see you next week. Have a good night. Bye-bye.